Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? Welcome back to another live stream on the channel. Some transfer news, and it looks like we've got our first signing under Steve Cooper. There's been no build-up, there's been no Leicester interest and all that rubbish. Here we go. Personal terms agreed, fee been agreed. Leicester City are set to sign Caleb Okoli from Atalanta, a new centre-back, a young centre-back, and for me, I'm quite happy with it. Obviously, we don't know too much about the player. That's the point of today's video. We're going to go in-depth on Caleb Okoli, go through what type of player he is and what type of things he can bring to Leicester City. I think this almost, it confirms the fact that Leicester will be playing with a back three or back five next season, whichever way you look at it. But yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. I'll run you guys through the story because obviously it only came out today. I think it happened at around 1 o'clock or something like that, and then we'll get into the analysis of Caleb Okoli as well. But from first instance, looks to be an exciting player, 22 years old, very physical, pretty fast as well. 6'3", I believe he is as well. So yeah, be interesting. But anyway, let's run through the story then quickly. So this was the first bit of the story from Fabrizio earlier today. It's strange to see how quickly this transfer happened because it's very rare, especially with Leicester, that things happen this quickly. But this one has seemed to happen. So yeah, initially Fabrizio said that Leicester are set to agree a deal. Then, literally a few minutes later, it got confirmed that Leicester will be paying 15 million euros plus add-ons for Caleb Okoli as a new centre back. And obviously said that here we go confirmed. So it's pretty much done already. We'll talk about the price later. It does seem fairly steep for someone who is very inexperienced at the top level. But I guess in modern day football, that's kind of the price you have to be paying. And he is I think, is he 22 or 23? Let me just double check that. 22 years old, so obviously a lot to progress. And it could be another one of them players who turns out to be that Leicester can get some big profit on it, just like the likes of Wesley Fofana. So that was the first part of the story, and then obviously we got the official here we go a few hours later from Fabrizio once again. So finally some good news from Fabrizio's because it seems to be an absolute disaster in the past couple of weeks. So yeah, full package, personal terms. So we are just awaiting for the official announcement. I'm not too sure on the contract length. I'd assume it'd be about 3 to 4 years, something like that. Leicester never seem to learn from their mistakes, so I wouldn't put it past them giving him 5 years. But obviously, for a 22-year-old, you would expect it to be a fairly heavy contract length, especially with a move to the Premier League as well. And obviously, if Leicester believe this man is going to be a big talent for the future, they're obviously going to want to give him a big contract length. But anyway, less of the story. We all know that 15 million euros, that's pretty much all we need to know right now. Before we get into the analysis, let's get into the chat. Jerry, how are we doing? We'll get into it in a minute. From what I've seen, he looks to be all right. So obviously, there's only so much you can take away from videos, from stats and whatnot. But from what I've been seeing, I think he's a fairly competent centre back. Hello, Ant. Hope you're doing all right, mate. But yeah, let's get into the transfer, the analysis, sorry, of the player. So where should we go first? I say we jump into some of the stats. Now it's important to know that this man did get relegated last season for Rosanelli. I think it is something like that. So yeah, that's obviously not fantastic, but the positive to take away from the fact he did get relegated last season is the fact that he's going to be having the same sort of battle this season. So he's going to have experience in terms of being up against it, and you can tell from the stats. Obviously, the goals conceded it's obviously going to be high. He got relegated, but I think the important things to look at. This guy's he's very much an old school defender, very high in terms of tackles, interceptions, aerial battles won, which I think is going to be very important next season. His clearances and his shot spots are very high compared to other centre backs. So I think in terms of his defensive capabilities, they are very strong. We'll get onto his passing and whatnot later on, which isn't too high. But like I said, that's to be expected from a team which got relegated. And I think playing with someone like Steve Cooper, it's going to be defensive. It's going to be a back three. It's going to be a back five at times. I think this guy probably suits it quite nicely. And there's no point in getting a centre back who is all about being on the ball, which obviously some centre backs are in the modern day. And last season that's the type of centre back we needed, but this season, for me, I think we do need someone who's all in out defence, gets himself in front of the ball, and that is going to get us points next season. But in terms of his passing ability, it doesn't make for fantastic reading on paper. So yeah, this is on FBref. So we're getting to that. As you can see, look on the left hand side, just over here, is all very long. Obviously, shot's going to be loads of centre back, but yeah, in terms of his passes completed, very low, but then you can see the green stuff is all that defensive attributes as well. So the clearances, etc., the tackles, the aerial battles won, and obviously this guy's very tall as well. I'd imagine it could be a centre-back partnership of Yannick Vestergaard, Caleb Okoli, Caleb Okoli, and then probably Wout Faz or something along them lines. But obviously, there's still a long way to go in terms of thinking about the team for next season. But yeah, let's get back into the chat. Make sure to let me know your thoughts. Obviously, it's quite unknown on the player, so I guess you guys don't know too much. Low possession team was never going to go that high. Yeah. Wonder who Cooper will play at the back. Signed a fat contract to Vestergaard and he won't even be used. Yeah, I think Vestergaard will. I think it will be used, obviously. In terms of starting, I'm not too sure. But I think it's very obvious that Leicester are going to play a back five next season, which with three centre backs. So I think the more centre backs we get, the better. Really, be interesting to see if the likes of Harry Sutar do depart now. Obviously, with the signing of Caleb Okoli coming into the side as well. So yeah, lots to find out. But I think Leicester will need at least five centre backs who can play week in week out on a rotation, especially when the cup games come in, especially if you go into that December period. And it's probably there's probably going to be at least one injury to a centre back next season, which is usually the case. But anyway, moving onwards. We'll get into his career really. So obviously, he's currently an Atalanta player. Like I said, he got relegated last season here. But yeah, basically just been at Atalanta for the whole of his career. Came through the youth academy. Obviously, he's been involved with the likes of Gasperini, which I think is a good thing for a player like him. Obviously, we've seen how good Atalanta have been this season. Like I said, he got relegated last season, but I don't think that's the worst things. Obviously, he's not going to be the main part of that relegation season. I think relegation can toughen a player up a little bit, and especially for a 22-year-old, I think that's going to push him forward. And just like I said, it's going to be a similar scenario at Leicester this season. So if we can have players who are adapted to that, who know what the battle is going to be like, I think that's only going to be a benefit. Really, obviously, it's going to be nice if you've got a player who's just come off winning a league in Serie A, but realistically, I don't think Leicester have got that pull right now in terms of the transfer market. So. But yeah, that's last season for Okoli. Interesting to say the least. Let's have a look at his attributes in a sense. What some fans have said. I found this thread on Twitter. Obviously, take it with a pinch of salt if I can find it. This is just from I think it is an Atalanta fan. Is it under 23 scout? So yeah, take this with a pinch of salt. But yeah, 6'3", elegant, intelligent, strong, big build, composed and concentrated centre back. I'm not sure about this body size to height ratio and whatnot, but I guess that's the way modern football is. Extremely athletic. He's incredibly muscular. He's obsessed with his build. But pretty much you can take away that this guy, he's fast. He's built. He's big. I think that's what you need, especially in the Premier League. No, there's no nonsense really. Able to play the full 90 minutes, which I think should be a given. To be fair. But yeah, he does have the build of someone who I think will take no nonsense. He'll be in there for a few big tackles, and I think that's what Leicester need next season. Obviously, he's come through, like I said, he's come through the Atalanta Academy. Covers a space to prevent balls through the lines, which I think is going to be important next season. So he's saying pretty much, he can read the game quite nicely, which is always a positive with someone at the back. I think that's a fundamental, especially playing with the ball in front of you. He averages 1 to 5 interceptions and 5.1 clearances per game, which ranks him inside the top 5 across Europe for only 2.25 years of senior football. That's astounding. So, yeah, pretty much this guy, he's still very raw, but he has played in the Serie A, which I think is only going to be a positive. He's obsessed with how the guy's formed, isn't he? Almost flawless in 1v1 duels. He stands his ground impeccably, utilising his spatial awareness and football IQ. Obviously, most of this is a load of rubbish, to be fair. But yeah, this is just an opinion from someone who's obviously watched him. But yeah, all in all, he's got experience for the youth national squad as well. So yeah, I think all in all, we can just take away that this guy's he's a strong, solid centre back, and I think that is something which I think Leicester have lacked in recent years. Also, we got Vestergaard player next season who's quite big and strong, but I think it's important we do have that robust centre back next season who's at times just going to clear it out, win the ball back, and just calm things down for us. But anyway, let's get back into the chat. We'll play Vestergaard central centre back. This guy Yeah, that's how I see it, 100%. And we'll look at his. I've got a few screenshots of him at Atalanta, and at times he did play centre, but I think he's got the ability to play either side, especially with his pace. Obviously, Italian football is a bit slower than the Premier League, so especially with his pace, I think he could probably suit that wide centre back role, especially with them inside runs when he come up against the big teams with pacey wingers and attackers running in behind as well. And I did see a few clips of him. There's one going around on Twitter from Atalanta, and I believe he played in that left side role. Obviously, Wout Faes played left centre back last season, I believe at times, but I think them two are could play either side. Just note Caleb Okoli is right-footed, so but I think in terms of the centre back roles, it's pretty easy to play both. Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I'm going to be honest, I don't understand the language throughout all the comments, so I'd rather someone just put it simply and say what points deduction we're going to get. But I think the only time to really make a video on that is when we know what deduction it is, because it just seems to be going around in circles right now. But yeah, I did see that from the Premier League today. Is there any news on any more signings? We need effective and efficient, experienced players to handle the Prem. We could have targeted some championship players though. Yeah. Obviously, Michael Golding set to be announced soon. Fatawu should be announced potentially tonight, hopefully tomorrow, but probably when the new kit gets announced, which is meant to be on the weekend. Also, we've got Caleb Okoli as well. There has been some talks with a Paraguayan international, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But as far as that, I don't think there's been too much. And it'd be interesting because obviously Leicester are spending quite a lot on this guy. I think 15 million euros is pretty steep for a guy who's only had 2.25 years. I think that guy said in professional football, obviously at the top level. So yeah, I think Leicester do need to look into the loan market, into the free agent market, because there's a lot of players free. Obviously, like Wilfred and Diddy is currently a free agent right now. Leicester need to get that one sorted as well, but I think that should be done soon. The players are now back in England, ready for pre-season training, which I think should be starting over the next couple of days. The points deduction, right? If it's less than 8, we have a chance anymore with Gunners. Yeah, I agree, to be fair. I think I can't see it being above 10. I think it will be between 6 and 10, to be fair. Anything more than 10, though, yeah. I think we will be struggling. But yeah, let's not think about that right now. But if Leicester can get the likes of Golding, Fatawu, and a Cody announced within the next couple of days, I think that'd be fairly good business so far. Obviously, Kiernan left us for 30 million, which is obviously, if you compare it to this, it feels like not much. But yeah, I think Chelsea knew Leicester had to sell. Leicester rushed it, as always, with the brilliant leadership of John Rudkin. So yeah, less said about that. The better. But anyway, a few screenshots from him at Atalanta. Obviously, I think playing under Gasperini is only a good thing. So I'm pretty sure this is him right here. Obviously, in this case, he's in the centre. I believe this is a back. I believe it's a back five for Atalanta. I think they usually play something like that. So in this case, he was in the middle for Atalanta. Last season, he did play as I think everyone's saying he plays as a middle centre back. So, but I think in terms of that back three, you've got the flexibility there. And if this guy's comfortable playing in the back 3/5, I think once again that's only going to be a benefit. And it's a clear reason why Steve Cooper's gone out and looked to sign this guy, because you want someone who's comfortable in them type of areas. So yeah, obviously he was on loan last season, got relegated, but he has played for Atalanta, so he must be half decent. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's him in action. Obviously, I can't show any videos or whatnot, else I got copyrighted. If I could, I would. Let me just double check if I got anything else. We'll look through his sofa score quickly, and then we'll move on to some more transfer stuff. So don't want to go on for too long. Yeah, so as you can see from his heat map, it loads on the right hand side. It's very much kind of central base, but then again, he seems to be quite comfortable on either side, which is only going to be a benefit. According to Sofa Score, he's got no weaknesses. So there we go, then, boys and girls. Sign him up. Ground rules, according to them. So last season, played 34 games, which is always a good thing. Doesn't look like he had any injuries last season. Obviously, he got relegated, but if you do look at his ratings, and obviously ratings are ratings, they don't explain the whole game, but they do a little bit. Yeah, he's fairly average. He's always most of it's in the green, shipped after Inter, but you can't really, it's not the end of the world there. So overall, look, if he was getting, free, if he was getting in the red, you would have concerns. But I think for someone who got relegated, it looks fairly good. 22 years old, like I said, and yeah, no goals. I'm not really expecting him to get any goals. If there's anything else on there, have a quick look. So I think all in all, he looks to be a half decent player, to be honest. But obviously, we'll get a better look at him in pre-season. But anyway, let's get back into the chat. We all need serious motivation to stay up in the Prem with the current situation. Looks depressing. Yeah, it is pretty depressing. I'm going to try and stay a bit positive on here now after my Steve Cooper rant the other week, but we can't do anything about that. So anyway, boys, that is about it for Caleb Okoli. I think I've pretty much covered him in as much detail as possible. If there was any more stats and stuff, I would go through it. Obviously, he's a fairly young player, so there isn't too much material out there to look through. But feel free to watch a few compilations and stuff. Obviously, they don't show the full picture, but I think all in all, we're looking at a player who's got limited experience, but has played at a pretty high level. Big, strong, robust centre back, 6'3". Very, very, very good in terms of the ground duels as well. He's quite aggressive as well in terms of pushing the play up and getting tight to the striker. I think if you are playing a back three next season, the wide centre backs do need to be quite aggressive. As we saw this season, we saw Vestergaard, Valfaz getting a lot of yellows just for that aggressiveness. So yeah, I think that's going to be key next season. We can't be standing off players, especially in the Premier League. You can't be letting the likes of De Bruyne, Foden, Salah turning on you and running at you, because if you let that happen, it's going to be an absolute disaster. So I think it's important we get a strong baseline, because especially under someone like Steve Cooper, the foundations have got to be very strong, because if not, you're just going to concede goals, because he builds his play on being fundamentally strong at the back, and then allows the attackers to have a bit more flair going forward. But I will be doing a video a bit on Steve Cooper's tactics, going a bit more in depth, because I think a lot of the fan base are still unsure on what formation we're going to play, but I'm 99% sure we're going to be playing about 5 next season. So yeah, what are my thoughts on Steve Cooper? Yeah, look, I'm not happy with it. If Leicester was sat here with Graham Potter, I'd be over the moon, but that's not the case. Can't really do too much about it. So yeah, some people said, oh, he's kept Forest up, but Steve Bruce kept teams up. So that argument is for another day. But yeah, it is what it is. It's not my first choice, but what can we do about it? But anyway, more Leicester City transfer news then. I'll go through this quickly. I assume most of you guys have seen this already. But obviously, Abdul Fatawu was at the King Power yesterday to obviously sign the stuff and probably do his kit, or his announcement videos and that sort of thing as well with his agents. That should be getting announced very soon. To be fair, I would have thought it would have been announced by now, but I am hearing that Leicester are waiting to get this announced with the new kit, which is meant to be out on the weekend, I do believe. Obviously, there's been a few leaks on that, but we don't know the sponsor yet. So we'll probably end up with some Thailand betting company on the front of the kit. But if it brings us more money, who cares? In terms of Fatawu, once again, there was a few photos of him outside the ground as well, so that it's pretty much confirmed. We all knew. I don't know why this has taken Leicester so long to do, considering some teams have signed players already without the obligation to buy. But anyway, that is the Leicester City way. We take forever to do anything. But Fatawu's back in England, so this will be announced very soon. So the fact that Lord Fatawu is going to be at Leicester, I'm hoping for a chunky 5-year contract for if we get 15 million, I think it's going to be a nice little bit of profit when he inevitably does leave, because I think this man could go right to the top under some good coaching. You've seen leaks of the kit. Are they decent? Yeah, I'll try and find you one a bit later in the stream, but they are pretty basic. It's just the usual Adidas template. But to be fair, most of our kits in recent seasons haven't been too bad. Anyway, in terms of some more Leicester City transfer news, obviously I mentioned it earlier, there was some talks around this month. Bit loads. So what's his name? So Ramon Sosa. So this guy is Paraguayan. He scored in the Copa America the other day. I believe he is an attacking player, which Leicester definitely do need someone in that middle to advanced 8, advanced 10 role. Once again, the price tag seems very, very, very strong. So yeah, Leicester, according to this man, Bruno Pont, Leicester needs to put in another 800 grand to activate his release clause, which does seem fair, which just seems strong. 15.8 million for a fairly unknown player. But then again, You know, just you've seen the likes of Brighton bringing these random players from South America, and they've been very good. So I think it's good that Leicester are going into the South American market and looking at a more range of players, because in recent seasons it just seems like we're focused on Belgian players and just European players, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, you know, extremely unknown. Obviously, there was a few links with the Belgian centre back. Tayat, I think. Oh, he's gone to Al Etihad, I think it is. So we can write that one off the wall. So that's probably why Leicester have gone in for Caleb Okoli. We had exactly that. And obviously, look, I've tried to go over him today, and I don't think any of us still know too much about the player. But that's the thing; it's boring if you're signing these experienced players. Now, you know, this one could go either one or two ways. It could be extremely good or rubbish. But you know, from what I've read, I think this could be a fairly decent signing. And you know, no doubt Chelsea will be knocking on the door for him in 3 years' time, and we can make some good money on him. And you know, that's how Leicester have got to be. It's the only way Leicester are going to progress, because we haven't got the money of the likes of Aston Villa, the Newcastles, the traditional top six. So the only way Leicester are going to get back towards the European places is signing these unknown players from, I would say, random league. But like I said, he's played for Atalanta, so it's not that unknown. But I think that's the way Leicester have got to build up. And if we can get a few more of these signings and get them right and sell one per year, just like we used to do, there's no reason why Leicester can't push on. But obviously, I've got to get past this season first, which is going to be the toughest season we've had in a long time, trying to stay up. We need a 9, a 10, and maybe another defender. Yeah, I think we'll get a better idea in terms of the squads after the first few weeks of pre-season, when Cooper can look at the players, because I think right now we can't really predict for anyone, because I think Steve Cooper is going to give everyone a fresh slate, and it's just whoever's best and whoever impresses Cooper is going to stay on, and whoever doesn't could leave. So we could see anyone leave, to be perfectly honest. But I can see us, losing another, 3 to 5 players potentially, and bringing in a few more. I don't think we'll bring in lots of players this summer because of the finances. But saying that, if Leicester are willing to spend just about 13 million quid on this man, maybe Leicester do. I'm not too sure, because we don't really know the financial situation too much. It's more of a case of restrictions on FFP. But now with Dewsbury-Hall, potentially we could have a bit more room to obviously push forward. So, but I do hope Leicester do go into the loan market once again, because we saw just how successful that was last season in getting us promoted. We need a Dewsbury replacement. Indeed, we do. Obviously, we've got a few young players, Michael Golding coming in, but yeah, I can't see him being that first team replacement. Obviously, we've got a few of the youngsters coming through, and Will Alves and Sammy Braybrook as well. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We need players that will fight with passion, 100%. We need a team full of Fatawus really, who die for the badge and jump on the back when Daka misses it middle of the way. That's what we need. But I think it's important to get that balance of young and experience. I would like us to maybe bring in a few experienced players just for this season. We saw the value of that. Obviously, we signed Robert Hoof to keep us up, and we all know what happened after that. But I think it's important to get some experienced players in. Obviously, there is a few players available going forward into that midfielder spot. So we'll have to see how that one does go. But there hasn't really been too many links in terms of attacking players. So maybe that's going to be the next thing on the agenda for Steve Cooper. But I think defensively, I think we're pretty much there, to be fair. So we've got Hermanson in goal. That's going to be 100%. We've got assuming Leicester played the 5 at the back. You've got Ricardo, JJ, Christensen. Still got Luke Thomas on our books, I do believe. In terms of the wing back positions, they're flexible. You've got Connor Cody, Harry Souttar, and Vestergaard, about Faz, Caleb Okoli now. In the centre back areas, I'm probably forgetting someone obvious here. But then when you look forward, I think the midfielder areas is very light. Obviously, we've got no Dennis Pratt now. We've got no Wilfred Ndidi currently. Obviously, Kiernan just left us. So, yeah, I think we definitely need some investment in that midfielder area. Now, under Cooper, it could only be a 2-man midfield, which is very light. But even now, I don't think we have enough options to cover that with enough depth. So it's going to be important to get some players in, and they don't have to be first team players. We need a few players, but like Dennis Pratt already, who's gonna, I would say, happy to be on the bench. Obviously, he wasn't, but we need some solid depth in there as well, who can come in, because when December comes, we're gonna have to be rotating the squad, and I'm not sure how Steve Cooper is with injuries, but if he's anything like Brendan Rodgers, we're going to need some serious depth. We're crying out for a 10 to 15 goal season striker. There was some links with Braithwaite, but I can't see that happening. To be perfectly honest, but he is a free agent, so that's potentially something Leicester could go with. But yeah, 100%, we definitely do need a striker. Obviously, Kelechi is gone. I can't see Daka staying, and if Daka does stay, he's not going to get his 10 to 15 goals. Is Vardy going to get his 10 to 15 goals next season? Probably not. So yeah, obviously we got Tom Cannon as well, but is he ready for the Premier League week in, week out? I don't think so. So yeah, it's important we get another striker, probably one more winger as well, potentially. You know, is Casey McAteer ready for the Premier League yet? Probably not. If Fatawu or Steffi get injured, we need someone to be ready to come in there. So maybe a winger, but I think now we have to focus on trying to get another 8 and another 10 into the squad. Obviously, Tammy Abraham, there's been some shouts about that, but you know, there's been loads of teams interested in him. With striker, would you want to bring in? I don't know, to be fair, right now. Haven't got a clue. Haven't really thought about it, but yeah, if Leicester can get someone like Braithwaite or Abraham, yes, but I can't see it happening. But I think someone who's got a bit of experience would do us nicely. Up front, we need someone reliable to, you know, if they get a chance, which is going to be limited next season, we're going to have to take it. So yeah, 100%. That is exactly what we need, boys and girls. But I think that is pretty much it. Obviously, Lewis Brunt did leave Leicester the other day for Wrexham, so good luck to him. But that's another positive in my book. You know, it reduces the wages up a little bit. I don't think he was going to get near the squad next season. So good luck to him. Hopefully, he can do all right in League One. Obviously, did well at Mansfield next season. Well, I'll be interested to see if there is any other developments in terms of players leaving as well over the next couple of days. But Leicester, I believe we're meant to be back in training yesterday, but I don't see any clips on social media. So I assume it'll probably be next week, but it should be soon because the first pre-season game is about 20 days away. Shrewsbury away, which will be an interesting one. Obviously, we have had a few pre-season games ish confirmed. We are going out to France, I do believe, at that same place we always seem to go to. So we'll probably have a few behind closed doors friendlies out there as well. But for once, it's been a positive day. So it's an unknown signing, but it is a signing, and we've been crying out for a signing. So yeah, good stuff, and hopefully the trajectory can keep going forward from here after Caleb Okoli joins Leicester. But if you are just joining us, it's done. It's about 13 million ish if you make the conversion between pounds and euros. Not too sure on the contract length, but yeah, looks to be an exciting prospect. Another centre back, 22 years old, 6'3", absolute monster. So yeah, I think that is what we need. But yeah, let me go through the chat just before we wrap things up. One thing I want to say is the fans need to be patient next season. Booing if we lose a few games, we're only, yeah, that's true. But then again, I think the frustration to the board and to Rudkin, etc., is going to be there from the start. So if Leicester do start off poorly, I think it's going to be quite difficult for Steve Cooper to recover it, because I still think there'll be a fairly good, strong portion of the fan base who are still quite against Steve Cooper. And obviously, at first I was, but I'm not going to obviously go against the manager immediately. But you know, if things are bad, if we're, you know, shipping loads of goals, it's going to get toxic. So yeah, I've said it a few times. The start of the season is absolutely pivotal for Leicester this season, more so than ever. Yeah, 100%. But it needs to, but I think as long as the performances are there, I'll be fairly happy. I don't mind if Leicester lose 1-0 to Tottenham first game of the season, if the performance is there, and if, you know, if we end up being fairly unlucky. But you know, if we lose in 5-0 in the first game, yeah, it's gonna be a long old season. But anyway, boys, loads of people came in just as I was about to head off, so I can stay in for a few minutes. If you've got any questions about our new signing, the scarves have came off the dodgy blue tap from about 5 years ago. But yeah, I think all in all, it is positive for Leicester. I don't think we can really complain about a new signing, really, because with the amount of people who believe in Leicester, I think getting someone fresh in the door is exactly what we need. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for coming in. Much appreciated as always. If there is any other news, I'll keep you guys updated. It is 9 o'clock, so let's have a quick look on Twitter. If Fatawu has been announced, I highly doubt it, but you never know. Yeah, nothing. There's been something about Patson Daka, but I don't know what he said anyway. Anyway, boys, thank you very much for coming in. Much appreciated. Make sure to drop a like. It helps the channel out massively, and I'll see you in a couple of days, hopefully, where we can get a new signing officially confirmed. But yeah, Caleb Okoli, welcome to Leicester City. First real signing under Steve Cooper. Not officially, because Rodkin will take about 10 weeks to get it over the line. But yeah, here we go. New signing. Lovely stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. All the best.